So this is the vaush pit. Maybe you've heard of vaush. Streamer extraordinaire, lolicon. What else? I don't know. Maybe it's best I don't keep adding adjectives. But yeah, vaush. He is talking about J.K. Rowling's anti-trans crusade just got so much worse. I don't know how it's got so much worse, because it kind of seems like it's been the same for years now, because it's just a battle between two sides at this point that's like endlessly self-perpetuating, because the pro-trans people constantly like throw shit at J.K. Rowling, and that's probably like, after a certain while, that probably kind of radicalized her more and probably made her double down on it more. So it is what it is. We'll see what vaush has to say about J.K. Rowling's anti-trans crusade. Just got much worse.
J.K. Rowling encourages Britons to vote for the Communist Party. Oh yeah, I saw this. Is this the Trotskyist Communist Party, the one that's primarily concerned with being conservative? It's like MAGA.
See, this is how you turn me off, J.K. Rowling. I don't agree with everything J.K. Rowling says. I'm kind of, there's stuff she says that I agree with. There's stuff that I don't agree with. I think I can see why it comes off like obsessive, like what she does, but then I can see why what I'm doing seems obsessive. So hey, at least I'm actually trans. But yeah, Communist Party. Like, not to be full on rude, other than the woke using LGBT for attention, they're also using it to self-indulge a fetish of some sort. Yeah, some people are. Like, pretty much name anything, there's probably someone making it sexual and doing disgusting things with it, so.
Communism, basically, except for Britain. Not that one. Is that a different one? I'm sorry, did we just blip into a different timeline? No. There are like 4 different communist parties in the UK, and they're all...
Sorry, I clicked on something. We're just going to play it again from the start.
It's like MAGA communism, basically, except for Britain. Not that.
I have no idea. He like concludes on everything so hard, man. It's crazy. I've been watching Xanderhow. I realize like he gets so much of his mannerisms from vaush. It's like it should have been obvious, because he copied Destiny, and Xanderhow copied him and Destiny, and all his other former cabal friends that all ditched him because of the horse porn lolly thing. Disgusting. But yeah, he's still clinging on, I guess. Anyway, yeah, I don't know about the UK Communist Party. I mean, J.K. Rowling isn't right-wing, and she's not going to go for the Lib Dems or the Greens because they're pro-trans, I guess. This seems like very single issue. Like, who the fuck's voting communist because Labour is kind of so-so on women's rights and like is kind of trying to give concessions both to women and to trans people? Like, that sounds insane to me. Like I said, I don't really agree with J.K. Rowling all the time.
That one, is that a different one? I'm sorry, did we just blip into a different timeline? No. There are like 4 different communist parties in the UK, and they're all worthless. Yeah.
I mean, that I will agree with, because I didn't even know there was 4 of them. Like, the CP, that's very, what's the word? Unfortunate. That's very unfortunate, the CP. Yeah, they oppose gender self-ID and the new gender ideology. Hey, maybe I will vote for them after all. I'm not going to. I'm not into communism. I'm not a single-issue voter, so hey.
Communist Party candidate and University of Edinburgh academic Richard Shilcock made the statement pledging support for recognizing the nature of biological sex, defending sex-based rights, and signal sex services and sports, changing the Equality Act such that sex means biological sex, and for calm, comprehensive discussion of these issues. Silly country? Yeah. He added of the Communist Party, we oppose gender self-identification and the new gender ideology. We oppose all forms of conversion therapy applied to lesbian and gay people, and oppose including trans identities in such a ban. Refer to the Cass report as authoritative. I didn't even talk about that, man. You know, the NHS was covering up a wave of suicides after the Cass report.
Were they covering it up, or did they not want, like, copycats? Because what this guy may not know, there was a huge wave of, like, copycat suicides in somewhere called Newport in Wales. Because suicidality and like suicide, there's a certain extent to which it's actually like socially contagious. I can see an argument for why the NHS would want to keep that quiet in order to hope that more people wouldn't kill themselves. I think there was supposedly 16 of them. I don't know too much on the details of the actual deaths, but so far the conspiracy theories aren't giving me much to work with. And obviously this fool is just believing all of them because that's what he pushes. That's his thing, right? You know, you lie to people and you get over 150k on your second channel. It's wild, but hey,
was adopted and like promoted. They like actively attempted to cover it up, didn't they? Aaron in the Morning, as always, the premier source on all that.
Aaron in the Morning, again, total hack, propagandist, piece of shit. It feels like these people, because that person's trans, that automatically gives them like authority, but they're really just saying what the cult wants to hear. They're saying what their audience wants to hear, and they probably believe it to themselves at this point. It says covered up, but do we know the reason for that? I think I've seen this, actually. I saw something of hers recently. I do not like Aaron Reed. I think she's terrible. She's been on the Majority Report, and I fucking hate the Majority Report. That Emma, what's her name? Emma Vigeland or something? I think she's terrible.
Matters trans. Whistleblowers led to innocent great...
Yeah, anything bloody fetish hell weight gain is a fetish now. Yeah. Yeah, feeders and stuff. It's gross. I'm not into that. I'm not like a fetish kind of person. It's not me.
The NHS in Great Britain covered up a large spike in suicides after restrictions on trans care. The number of suicides appears to have been omitted from the cast review. Not entirely what I'm talking about at the moment, but...
Should the suicides have been included in the cast review? I don't know about that. And there's been a lot of weird things about this Tavistock clinic, so...
Like, in terms of its effect, that social violence, yeah, you know, social murder is the only kind of murder.
Social violence, social murder, like, Jesus Christ. I fucking hate this shit. Like, this is exactly the kind of over-radicalized shit that we should have been rejecting en masse years ago, but we didn't. Because these people know how to make people feel good. It's like the video equivalent of shoveling down 3 chocolate bars, you know? It's not good for you, but you'll feel good because it's tasty. I don't fucking know. It's terrible. This is terrible.
Murder that is okay, actually. It's this party. They're also those weird anti-sex work type of MLs. They're just conservatives, you know? Phenomenal stuff, really. They released this statement. You guys are giving me a lot of links right now. Yeah, this is the thing that's being reported on right here. This is what you're looking for, re-suicide cover-ups. I've now seen further evidence that since the Bell decision in the High Court, 1st of December 2020, there has been a huge increase in...
Yeah, I've seen this as well.
Young trans people on the NHS waiting list. Okay, the Bell decision then. Are we not referring to the... Okay, then it wasn't following the CAS report. It was omitted from the CAS report following the Bell decision. And that was some years ago. Okay. This was the 2021 ruling. The 2020 ruling, actually. I don't know why I just spoke like a...
So is that 16 suicides since 2020? Like, for a year? I'm not trying to downplay it, because any suicides are bad. But, like, I don't know. The one thing I really wonder is, like, we're always saying the word suicide around trans, and especially around trans kids. Like, that's not helping. I don't think we need to constantly be going on about, like, trans kids potentially killing themselves if they don't get the medication they need. It feels really wrong. It feels really, like, manipulative, in my opinion.
Alan there for a second. So there was a spike since then that was omitted from the report. Like, they didn't want to have that included because it would be an indication that the trans people, which they are like pretending they're doing all this for, actually having worse lives on account of their restricted policy.
Is that on account of their restricted policy? Or is it on account of they've got some twisted ideas in their head of what transgender is going to do for them? I think we need to be very careful. Just because people killed themselves, of linking that straight to that and saying, well, this is cause and effect. People killed themselves. Like, that's complicated. We don't know what kind of psychiatric issues these kids were having. Like, potentially that they think that transitioning is going to solve when it might not. You know, it's I don't know. It feels like he'll just believe anything as long as it fits his narrative sometimes.
The Bell decision was a detransitioner suing the NHS. No, I remember it. I mean, I covered it when it happened. I just, yeah, it makes sense then because they would have more time. More time has passed since that happened, which they could use as an indicator of the spike in suicides. Prior to the 2020 Bell rule.
Since then, there have been 16 deaths. And I think this was written recently. And this is Aaron in the Morning, yeah. So everything here with a generous grain of salt. Let's just put it that way. Jesus Christ.
Ruling, only one young trans person died from suicide in 7 years, and that since the ruling there have been 16 deaths. Jesus, that's a significant increase in
yeah, it's a significant increase in suicides, but I think to just link it like that feels like very childish thinking, because we don't actually know what's wrong with these kids a lot of the time. And one problem is, like, y'all are calling it conversion therapy to have them talk to someone to see if there's anything else that could be going on.
in the proportional rate. And if that sounds like a low sample size to you, please remember that entire policies are being written off of like one detransitioner, not even committing suicide, but being like, yeah, I regret the decision that I as an adult made with my
Source, please.
doctor. You know, the incoming Labour government is going to consult with J.K.
There's no source. Of course there isn't.
Rowling on gender policy. Jesus Christ. Author responds after Shadow Chancellor says party would be really happy to give her assurances. Why do you have to give the billionaire hate mongerer assurances? What do you owe her?
Well, first off, she's kind of the de facto leader of a pretty big movement. Second off, they probably don't see her as a hate monger because if you're an adult and you think about her positions, there's some pretty sensible stuff in there. But to just write it all off as like her being a hate monger, like how is that helping? Like, do you even understand what she thinks? Do you even understand her positions?
I'm telling you, man, it's entirely because it's a dead country. They have nothing. Completely, like no cultural product. London only generates money for London because it's like a place where people juggle money around. So
I don't know if this guy's ever been to the UK. I don't know. Why don't you look at your debate that just happened between Trump and Biden? Because one of them's running your country soon. One of them already has been. The other one did before. I don't get it.
J.K. Rowling is one of the only actual cultural exporters left in the country, and they'll do anything to counter.
What is he talking about? Like, Jesus Christ. These people are like so fucking pathological about British people. It's so cringe. Like, Jesus Christ, do you have another joke? What was it? The Conservatives only have 2 jokes things. How many jokes do you fucking have?
John Oliver just did a huge piece on why the Tories are horrible and didn't address Labour at all. Yeah, I hate to pull out this card a second time.
Why would he talk about Labour when he's talking about the Tories? You'll really, really want people to talk about how terrible both of them are. Maybe he doesn't think that. Who knows?
Wonder if the Labour Party would actually be worse on trans issues than the Tories, purely because the Tories are so incompetent that they can't get a lot done. You liar, yes, he did address it.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Every 2 seconds is pissing me off now. I wonder if Labour are going to be worse on fucking trans issues because at least the Tories were just incompetent. Like, what's happened is that the gender clinics that we have, there used to be enough of them to satisfy the demand, right? There used to be not a huge amount of trans people. Like when I started transitioning in like 2015, there was only so many. So I was seen within about 10 months, I think it was, which is really not that bad. That's not too long to wait. Things got moving quite quickly after that. Like it was fine. Whereas nowadays, they didn't really add any more clinics. And there's like just so many more people trying to access it because being trans is just more well known now. And it's unfortunately become trendy to some people. And there's a lot of people accessing these kind of things because they think that they're non-binary or something, as opposed to having gender dysphoria, which is a whole other subject. But like, yeah, I mean, that's the problem. The wait times just went up because they just can't handle the demand. I don't know how the fuck Labour are going to be like worse. I mean, geez, like what have we even got? Like to go on puberty blockers, you have to be part of a clinical trial, which to be honest, I don't know if I have that much of a problem with. They might not want to teach transgender ideology in schools anymore, which I more or less support because I think we probably need to get our fucking heads on straight on what we're actually trying to say and actually define some things instead of this bizarre like gender identity stuff, which I don't understand. I don't see what a gender identity is myself. I think it's the kind of thing you only have if you've ever thought about it. And it's really weird when people try and assert that like so-called cis people, they all have gender identities too. So they're male and also they identify as males. So that's why they dress a certain way and shit like that. I think that's bollocks personally. But hey, maybe I'll speak to someone who'll actually explain something that makes sense to me. I just haven't recently, you know.
Uh-oh, chat battle. Labour basically said they would do Section 28 again for trans kids. It's so disgusting.
Oh, do not listen to your fucking chat, man. Is that what he does? I haven't watched Vaush in a really long time. I watched him back in like 2020, maybe early 2021, and I really started getting put off of him. But nowadays, like, I need to watch some of his old stuff and see if like I actually agree with any of it anymore, because I can't tell whether I just was a lot more ignorant then and I was a lot more lenient in terms of people filling my head with shit than I am now, because I'm extremely suspicious of everything everyone says now. But like, they're doing Section 28 again. Like, really? Are you just going to believe that because some fuck said it in your chat?
But Rowling said, here, J.K. Rowling has agreed to give a meeting with Labour after Rachel Reeves said the party would be really happy to give her assurances over its plans to change the process through which people can legally change gender. Insane that the
Really happy. Why is that insane? She's become the de facto leader of kind of a cultural movement, which unfortunately we gave relevance to, because when we started out, when, you know, TERFs were first a thing, they were generally like crazy. They were like extremists. Whereas you got kind of gender critical coming in because people were more scrutinizing of like the things that trans people were saying. People were scrutinizing the things that trans people were saying and scrutinizing like the way it works and stuff and being like, there's a lot of the narrative kind of left out here. There's a lot of like, there's certain clashes between trans rights and women's rights, considering trans women are born men. So yeah, we didn't push back on any of that because all these people, like, they say certain things. It's like, oh no, you're a TERF, you're a bigot, like, fuck you. And that's pretty much it. We'd have terrible arguments for like sports, which revolved around trans women or women mostly, when the elephant in the room is obviously that trans women were born male, and the whole point of women's sports is that males aren't supposed to be in there because males generally have an advantage, like in terms of the average male versus the average female. But yeah, in my view, the trans side completely legitimized them by having no real arguments and often not being willing to engage in any arguments. So this is kind of on us, honestly. Like, J.K. Rowling has become extremely relevant again, partly because of the trans movement, in my opinion.
The shadow health minister of a party basically guaranteed to win the coming election feels the need to give assurances to one random billionaire. Like,
one random billionaire? Like, he's... Oh my god. I don't know. Why does he talk about British? Just stick to American shit, man. Just stick to American shit.
Absolutely, like, genuinely psychotic. Why? You're the government. She's not. Speaking in Scotland, Reeves said protection for women's only spaces.
Psychotic. They talk to all sorts of people. They talk to advocacy groups. They talk to all sorts of people. Like, what the fuck is he talking about?
Absolutely stay, adding, we're not going to be changing anything around biological sex. We're really happy to talk to J.K. Rowling to give her assurances about that. But Rowling said her meeting was conditional. Rowling got to decide the conditions. Unbelievable. You're talking...
If something's conditional from any side, then they can decide the conditions. Like, they don't have to do this. If it's conditional, they can say no. It's not about she gets to choose the conditions of the meeting. Like, oh, God.
To the soon-to-be health minister, and you are setting conditions for them. Rowling said the meeting was conditional on Labour first meeting a series of groups from across the UK that she's...
Yeah, that's what she wants them to do. If they say no because they don't really want to meet these groups, then that's fine. That's what they've decided. It's not about... It's kind of like if me and vaush decided that we were going to have a conversation and either of us said, well, hang on, that's conditional on you calling me fuckface. I don't know. Like that's the example. We're going with it. If he imposed that condition, I'm there to like say yes or no to that. And it's the same the other way around. It's not like who gets to decide the conditions. It's because one of them has conditions. They might both have conditions. The Labour Party probably doesn't have any specifically because she's a very well-known activist, surprisingly. She wrote fucking Harry Potter or some shit. I don't know. I didn't read it. But, you know, it's not like he says some random billionaire. It's kind of a ridiculous point on the face of it. And she's not setting the conditions. She has conditions.
Supported. Sorry, you can only pledge your support to me, an unelected billionaire, after meeting like the 50 TERF.
Pledge your support. It's a meeting. Oh my god. I need to get through this video because it's killing me. It's literally killing. I'm going to start getting like angry and I'm trying not to.
Like groups that I am associated with. Incredible. Rachel Reeves will be Chancellor, West Streeting will be Health Secretary. Did it not say? Oh, Shadow Chancellor. Sorry, I don't know why I read in my mind Shadow Health Secretary. Either way, I mean, every point here stands, but yes. The Shadow Chancellor made the offer to me.
Yes, every point here stands. Well done, vaush.
Made the offer to meet the author and former Labour donor on Monday after Rowling said she would, quote, struggle to support the party in the next week's general election. Well, there you go, folks. You know, in order to why do you think she would give you the money? You know,
there we go, folks.
She's going to end up giving money to like Reform or something, right? Like maybe not this time, but
you know she's going to give money to Reform. On what basis?
Next time? Like there's no way you can... She will...
Or next time? How do you know? How do you know this?
Always gravitate towards the most transphobic like outlet for her.
Oh no, I get it. No. It's the whole cut a liberal and a fascist bleeds thing, isn't it? Like, these people actually believe shit like this. They believe that shit like that is not just Twitter sound bites.
You know, she's done Holocaust denial, man. It's not like she's opposed to the far right. She loves the far right. She loves the far right. Tempting as it is.
She loves the far... Jesus Christ. I see a fair amount of, like, her activity on Twitter. She's not talking about the far right. Like, she loves the far right?
Posting. What an empty life she lives. Thanks, Blue Hearts. Fake feminist. Yeah, like I've said before, I really do think it's important to remember that TERFs basically don't exist as a group. Like, J.K. Rowling's not a feminist. She doesn't push for any feminist cause.
Gender critical is definitely a feminist movement. I'm sorry, you didn't have to believe that, but there's definitely feminism at the root of it.
She was basically silent when Roe v. Wade was overturned here in America because the people who overturned it are also transphobic. Like, she's
also not American.
Allied with and constantly supports far-right people. Like, she doesn't do anything feminist. She just talks about women's rights when targeting trans people. That's not, like, that's entirely superficial, you know?
Is that all she does? I don't know about any of this.
Cannot overstate how important I think it is if you are transgender to not be in this country. I know that moving is expensive. Really cannot overstate how important I think it is if you are transgender to not be in this country. I know that...
Is this vaush saying this? Hang on.
Moving is expensive. I'm just saying, like, man, they're telling you got to hit the bricks. Some good news.
Life in the UK as a trans person is really not that fucking bad, man. Like, I'm not the most passing person in the world. I still get around just fine. Most people don't give a shit. I've been able to work places and it not be a problem whatsoever that I'm trans. Like, the problems that I've had have been to do with other stuff. I don't see it, man. I don't... Like, in America, you've got all these, like, families that, like, abandon their kids because of their religion and, like, their trans kid wouldn't fit in with that. It's really not quite that like that in this country. Like, it's a lot more secular. I think what he's saying is ridiculous. I don't think he understands this country, like, at all. And I think he should just stick to American shit, personally.
Her Nazi friend Posey Parker was kicked out of Brighton today by anti-fascists. Kelly J. Keenman chill Posey Parker runs away from her own fascist rally as she's outnumbered 3-1 by counter-protesters. Nice. I'm sure I could investigate this further, but I choose not to. Remember when I said J.K. Rowling should shut up and start apologizing, and it began like a 6-week hate tour? Like,
oh yeah, that misogynist tweet that he is probably still stroking his cock over, let's be real.
Against me from the entire online left, because, like, were it not for my optically damaging behavior, we might yet make progress on this issue.
That wasn't the argument. The argument is you were being misogynist. Like, trans people don't want you being a misogynist in pursuit of trans rights. That seems extremely counterintuitive.
You were always right on this. It's crazy, man. Oh, hey, Lemiru. Still hating you about it? Yeah, okay, well, you're permitted to. Okay, you've got a blue name, Lemiru. They were deliberately missing the point. It's genuinely crazy. Like, can you imagine if a trans woman on Twitter was like, J.K. Rowling, that bitch, and J.K. Rowling quote tweeted?
What, like every day? Like people do every single fucking day? I see people, there's not a day goes by if I'm on fucking Twitter that some trans dickhead or some ally dickhead isn't, like, screaming at J.K. Rowling about something. I watch people that, like, they at her over and over and over and over, and then she responds, and then they cry about the harassment they received because her fans are fucking insane and, like, went after her over it. Like, I don't know. Is this serious? Is this serious? Is this serious? Come on.
Them was like, wow, calling a real woman a bitch? How typical for a man. And then everyone on the left was like, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of a point. When you call a woman a bitch, that's like a gendered term, right?
You shouldn't call her a bitch, you know? You shouldn't call her a bitch. That's, like, misogynistic, and you know that. Like, you shouldn't have done that. I don't know why you would, like, enable her talking points and make things easier for her. Like, no.
But you are. You're giving them ammo. Like, why not just not do it? What's the point in going on Twitter and calling her a fucking bitch? What are you achieving from that?
Nobody would do that. Motherfucker just hated me. God damn it. It's crazy.
Wait.
Talking point. Yeah, you shouldn't call her a bitch, you know? You shouldn't call her a bitch. That's, like, misogynistic, and you know that. Like, you shouldn't have done that. I don't know why you would, like, enable her talking points and make things easier for her. Like, nobody would do that. Motherfucker just hated me. God.
Okay, I don't know what Vaush's deal is. There's always people criticizing anyone that gets into those spats with J.K. Rowling. Like, you look up someone called Sophie Molly on Twitter. People give her all sorts of shit. Like, you can't respond to her things anymore, so people quote tweet her, myself included, because I think she's a bit ridiculous. Like, it's not just you. Like, you're not this victim. I don't know what I'm supposed to say. You know, this is stupid.
God damn it. It's crazy. They literally like sided with JKR's take on the situation over mine.
Sided with JKR? Like, it's not about that. And besides, what were you doing telling her to shut up? I think most people that are like pro free speech don't want to tell people to shut up, you know? So what's to side with? Like, oh, you're either pro-trans or anti-trans, I guess. Well, not all of us are children, unfortunately. So some of us have to like correct this bizarre thinking that you are imposing on everyone. Because I see so much of this like through line. I watch people like Vaush, and this is how like so many trans people act like online and in real life now. And it's bad. Like, his thought process is like bizarre to me.
Me, man. Maybe I should transition.
Floofy the floof, floof the floofy. I celebrate Pride Year, personally. Fair enough. Listen, to each their own. I'm not into Pride Month, but hey, it's almost over. I hope you're doing well anyway. Ooh, where are we at? There we are.
Just to like throw the wrench in the machine, you know what I mean? Really, really throw them for a loop, okay? You're gonna hate me now? Well, everything you do now is transphobic, okay? I'm gonna talk about how like all of the problematic things I ever did was just me like struggling with my identity. I just give me a line, man. I'm still mad about the JKR thing. I'm gonna pull a Destiny.
Fucking hell, man. It's, you see how these people learn nothing. I've watched this over and over. People doing dumb shit on the internet and then learning nothing from it. You've got like Frida Wallace, like watching her own shit back, somehow oblivious to how insane she comes across. You've got like Sophie Molly getting kicked out of the Green Party for her social media bullshit. Like, completely unrepentant. Like, not that I'm saying she should apologize for saying shit about J.K. Rowling on the internet, but at least show some growth. At least show that maybe you understand that it's not professional and that it's really not gonna help people. It's not gonna help people warm to your cause, you know?
Okay, I'm gonna be like, actually my pronouns are. Yeah. Turns out being autistic doesn't get you the leeway I thought it would in the overall like hierarchy of
Oh no, it doesn't. See, the thing about autism is everyone else has it too now. So you say, well, you know, I'm autistic. I don't always pick up on things. It helps if people are a bit more like direct and a bit more like clear in what they're saying. Usually you just get some fuck being like, well, I'm autistic too, and then just continue to act in a way that most actual autistics would find infuriating. So yeah, that's why that doesn't work.
You know, disingenuously navigating online discourse. You know, sadly, it didn't work for Destiny. You're telling me that Destiny isn't like celebrated as a hero for the progressive left online as a consequence of him leveraging his problematic moments as a consequence of...
What? I think there's probably different reasons why people like Destiny to that, but fair enough.
His identity didn't work? Okay, that's crazy. He has blue hair and pronouns?
He had pronouns. He was like non-binary for like a few months or some shit. I don't know. I don't think he was even doing it for that reason either. Like, I don't fucking know. Even if I am uncertain if I am trans or not, I just know that 92% of my experiences lean towards it. That's very specific. Like, I believe that I'm trans. If I'm not, it doesn't really matter because I had surgery a long time ago and I'm perfectly fine with who I am. I think my transition goals are like realistic and stuff. And like, to me, I have a lot of other stuff like wrong with me. Okay. So like, I've had to do a lot of thinking about that kind of stuff and I still kind of come back, you know, that gender dysphoria like still keeps coming back despite that, you know, despite understanding like mental health issues and like trauma and stuff. So to me, I feel like I probably am. And if I'm not, it doesn't actually matter. Like if someone wants to think that I'm a man who got everything down there inverted and grew tits and that, they're welcome to think that, honestly. I don't really care. But yeah, that's my feeling on it.
Shows you how much that's worth these days. He doesn't have blue hair anymore. Really? Destiny needs to get a real job. Whoa, streamer phobic. Hold on. Streaming is a real job. Okay, thank you. Okay, you...
God, I wasn't actually expecting him to talk about fucking Destiny in this video. Does he like talk about him like a lot? Or is it just this one?
You saying streaming isn't a real job. Boing, hit Destiny who will never see your comment. Live...
I have long assumed that Buck Angel was transphobic. I'm actually not talking about Buck Angel today. The titles are not updating. I don't personally think that Buck Angel is transphobic. He definitely has takes that are like not everyone's going to agree with. And he's very like, I don't want to say scientific about it because that implies something that I don't mean it to, but he's quite rigid on it. And I'm not so much myself. I don't see that as transphobic personally. I think anyone is entitled to their opinion on this kind of stuff. And the way that people treat him like that he's this like fucking Nazi or some shit because he's got certain opinions, I think is insane. It's a bit like with Blair White. I think a lot of people in truth don't get people like Buck Angel or Blair White, and that's why they don't like them. And like, you know, you can not agree with their opinions, but I don't know. Didn't this oddball get in trouble with creepy art? Yes, he was caught. He had lolly on his computer, like horses fucking young girls, like drawn anime porn, which I think is disgusting. But he's also very influential in like trans circles, because trans circles tend to run very left, and as a consequence, he's like a huge part of his like grift or whatever now is like trans people. It's like basically like anyone like Xander Howell and stuff like that. They all do the same thing. And he works with Progressive Victory now, which is nice. Join Progressive Victory. He's disgusting. There was a live stream with Progressive Victory, and it was for a while, for a good 10 minutes or so. It was just him sat there like gibbering on about literally nothing, about like how the candidate they're supporting, like he's going to bring bricks back to like Brooklyn or wherever it was. And like the other guy, he's more like plaster or something. It was absolutely cringe as fuck. I'm not a vaush fan, if that's clear, by the way.
Streamers who might be watching VGG at this moment, like, come on, you know, a little bit problematic. Just think about how language like that might affect, you know, the people around you.
Well, that was great. I could see what him and Alec Gunter think of AIR.
On the hunt for a car that will make your road...
I could see what him and Alec Gunter think of AIR. That would be exciting. I feel like whenever lefties talk about like AI, it's always the cringiest shit. Like, just like rabid hatred. I don't know. I don't understand it.